Welcome to a special edition of Schooling Around. Tuesday, November 8th is an important day. Not only will we be electing a new president, but many local board positions are up for grabs as well. We've already presented a special school board candidate forum. Now we are giving other board candidates an opportunity to exhibit their qualifications. Our first guest in a moment. Before we interview the candidates, I'd like to introduce you to Sue Basardi. If you don't know Sue, you haven't been to any meetings around town. Sue's been on the Village Council along with a number of other committees for over 20 years, and we're pleased to have her with us today just to kind of give us a background and a little general information about what these candidates are in for when they actually get elected to their positions. Thanks for being with us, Sue. Appreciate that. Before we get going on this, I want to get a little background on you. We were chatting before this, and you were telling me how you got interested in all this from the beginning. Why don't you tell our viewers that?
Well, just briefly, years ago, I read an article in the Oxford Leader, and it piqued my interest, and I decided to go to a council meeting so that I could find out more information about this. And I did, and as I was sitting there, it amazed me that the decisions that were being made by this village council never made it into the paper, and nobody knew about it. If you didn't attend the meeting or get minutes, there were things that were being decided that the community didn't know. Not bad things, but just things. And so I decided that I was going to start going to village council meetings. My mother was a former treasurer in Oxford. My dad has been on council before. Both of them very community-minded and involved in the community. So I decided that I was going to start going to council meetings. And I went to them for a full year before I actually pulled a petition and decided to run for council, so that I knew what the issues were. I knew what some of the visions were, some of the stuff that had been talked about. And I was interested in trying to make a difference and being involved in some of that and having participation in it.
So you were one of the large crowd of people who attended the meetings, right?
Yeah, a large crowd of two, which is, it's very disheartening to go to meetings week after week, month after month, year after year, and see the lack of participation, both in citizens, in business. I can't tell you how many meetings I sit at where sometimes there's nobody but the camera person from OCTV there.
And it's funny that—
other times there's one.
And it's funny that when a certain hot button is pushed, it's funny how many experts suddenly come to the surface.
Oh my goodness, yes. You have, it's what they call the NIMBY thing, not in my backyard. I think that people don't get involved until it's something that directly affects them. Most recent example was 98 Glassby, the purchase and the building that was going to be erected there. And that turned out a large contingent of people, standing room only, public hearing after public hearing, not only at the Planning Commission, but at the Village Council level. And the thing that people don't realize is that by their participation and by their even attending a meeting effectuates change. It does. When you're sitting up there behind the table and you're making all these decisions, if you have no feedback, you either think you're doing a really good job, and so you keep continuing to do it, or you think you're doing such a terrible job that people are disgusted and aren't going to come and participate. And the fact is that people that sit on these boards, the DDA, the council, and the Planning Commission, they welcome people to come in the audience and participate and be part of the process. rather than going out on the street and hearing the grumbling or reading about it in the paper through a letter to the editor. That's not what we want. We want business participation. We want citizen participation.
Sure. And you know, as you drive through the village of Oxford, here's this beautiful, nice community, and it really is a gorgeous community.
It is. It's a gorgeous community.
But like any other community, it's got some issues that it has to deal with. Why don't you give us an idea of those candidates who are going to end up being on the village council, some of the issues they're going to have to be dealing with during their term?
Well, pardon me, I've had eye surgery, but I still need my reading glasses. Financially, the village, I'm not going to say that we're going down the tubes tomorrow, but financially we are facing some difficulties. We need to do a better job of belt tightening. We need to do a better job of setting money aside for projects, i.e. our roads in the village. Some of them are terrible. We need curbs and gutters. And the fact is that we have several bonds that we're paying on, and we just don't have the money to just go out and do these projects. So that's going to be an issue where we're going to have to be creative. We're going to have to look for grants. We have a huge project coming up in the year 2019 with the M24 project. And if we don't raise the matching grant funds, what we're going to end up from MDOT is simply what they put down in every community, pavement and the standard lights, and that's it. I would like to see street lights from village beginning to village end, or east and or north and south, and I'd like to go east and west a little bit. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. The building department. Our building department, while for the last 3 years we've been recognized as a one-stop ready community, the fact is that we are not. We still have some issues in our building department. We need to do a better job in there. We need to be more organized. We need to be customer friendly. We need to have our website updated and all these forms online so that when developers come in, that we are ready to help them and have our forms available to them. One of the things that I alluded to earlier is that the lack of business and citizen participation and volunteerism. As somebody that sits on the DDA and have sat on the Planning Commission and sit currently on the Village Council, we somehow need to be able to reach out to people and get them involved, get them to participate. I know everybody is busy nowadays. We have families, we have kids, you have homes, jobs especially that take you outside of the community where you have to spend endless hours on the road traveling. It's very difficult, and I understand that, but I still would like to see somebody who is or feels that they don't have the time to at least give the village an hour a month that they could help on a committee or participate, come to a meeting, be part of the process.
And you know, we'd be more than willing to help you with that on OCTV. If we know ahead of time, we could make that a part of the announcements that we make to try and alert the public to the need for that kind of participation. So please let us know.
Well, we currently have a position open on the Village Planning Commission. We've got a couple new fellows on there that are doing a bang-up job, and so we're looking for another person to be on there. Mm-hmm. So that would be, yes, put that out there. The one thing that is a negative in this community is the apathy, which goes back to the lack of participation and the lack of volunteerism. We see it all the time, and I wish it wasn't here. I would like to have people really want to get out and be involved.
And we should mention that all of your meetings are broadcast on OCTV, as are all the other council meetings as well, so that people, if they can't be there physically, can at least tune in and see them either on our station or online. Okay, so we've got a lot of these people are running they've already been on the council. I don't know, do you have any brand-new people who are running this time around?
No, we
I don't
don't.
think so.
No.
What kind of experience is good for a potential candidate for this type of position?
My feeling is that the interest should be there. You need to care about Oxford. You need to be it's not just coming to one meeting a month. It's untold amount of paperwork that they're going to have to read and sift through. Untold amount of information that comes to you through email that you spend endless hours in front of the computer going through, reading. We do have committee assignments. So it's not just the hour a month or 2 hours or 3 hours that you spend on council, but we have representatives that sit on these other committees. We have a representative that sits on, for instance, NODA, Pollyant Trail. And so there are additional hours that you have to give to it. And I think that sometimes people don't realize the amount of paperwork. For instance, last night, our council packet was virtually almost 2 inches thick that you have to pound through.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think they need to be prepared for that. It's not just coming to a meeting and opening up your packet there and reading it and making decisions.
Well, we're going to get into our candidate interviews in just a moment. Sue, did you have anything you wanted to add before we take a break?
No, not really. I hope that we can get some more citizens' involvement and volunteers for the various committees that we do have. And we also have an alternate position on the Cable Commission. I'll throw that in too.
Go right ahead.
And we're looking for people who will come and be part of this system. It's an exciting time right now in Oxford. We've got several developments that are going on. This new one that's going to be on East Burdick that Dave Weckel is doing, that's going to be a tremendous boost to the community. And part of the visioning process, trying to figure out where Oxford wants to go in the next several years. We just got through with our master plan. We had a really good committee that did that. We had several public hearings on that, took the people's input, rewrote sections of the master plan, and now have that updated. And so we can get started on that. So we'd like people to come and be part of that.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for
You're
your
welcome.
service to the community.
You're welcome.
And obviously you've been a valuable asset. And thanks for showing up here and letting
You're
us
welcome.
talk to you for a few minutes.
You're welcome.
We'll be right back with our first candidate interview.
Hi, I'm Connie from Connie's Kitchen here at Treetop Lodge. Come up and join me for a relaxing afternoon or an evening or a weekend. This is one of my favorite places to come when the lodge is quiet. I'm down in the gathering room. I've got the woods behind me. The deer will be coming in soon. It's just a very peaceful place to spend a little time with my friend Alistair. So join me here at the lodge, join me on OCTV, and let's have some fun together and relax. Regardless of the weather, we're always here. See you soon.
Our first guest today is Eric Dolan. He is running for the Oxford Village Council, a 4-year term, and he is an incumbent, which kind of rolls into our first question, Eric. Do you have any experience in this type of position before? I guess the answer would be yes, and you could elaborate on that.
John, I do, and first I'd like to say thank you for having me today. Back in April, I was appointed to the Oxford Village Council for an abbreviated term after we experienced a first vacancy. So in the previous 7 months, I've had the opportunity to develop the ability to work with the current council members, get a feel for the Village of Oxford, what its needs are, and how I can best implement some progressive motivations and some progressive ideas to better assist the village.
My next question would be, why are you qualified for this position? I guess the fact that you've occupied it for a while is part of the answer, but I think there's more to it than that for you, isn't there?
John, there is, and you're correct. The first answer is that I have occupied a seat in the Village Council at this point. I'm familiar with the undertakings, I'm familiar with the problems and the successes that the village has. But more specifically, to answer your question, I bring a lifetime of public service experience. I have served for the previous 20 years as a police officer, a firefighter, and a medical first responder. During those years in that activity, it's given me the ability to interact with the public on many different ways in many different settings. I have also had the opportunity to interact, work with, and achieve successes with many different socioeconomic spaces throughout the segment of the population, different individuals who have different needs, and I've been successful at every level of doing that. Also, while in the military, I had the ability to serve as a combat veteran in Somalia, and I also had the chance and the fortune, frankly, to serve in humanitarian capacities in Haiti, also in Cuba.
Okay, very good. What concerns you most about what is happening in your township?
Some of the concerns that have brought me to this position, frankly, are what I perceive to be lack of fiscal responsibility within the village. I became engaged through a process involving an apartment complex on 98 South Gillespie that the village was proposing. Through the course of that endeavor, I recognized that not necessarily had some of the village's best financial interests been looked for in the past. That is what drew the greatest concern to me. As a resident also, as well as a village council member, it's important to me to ensure that our finances are being spent appropriately, that those resources are being used for projects and different undertakings that best serve the public. As far as I'm concerned, I serve the public. It is not a position for me. And frankly, I have agreed and suggested to most people involved that I'll be donating any proceeds from this position to a veterans organization. So my goal in this position and in this capacity is to return back to the community and make sure that our finances are appropriately looked out for.
Okay, very good. And I might mention at this point, we're asking all the candidates these same questions. The next question is, do you have any specific ideas to make things better here?
John, I do have some specific ideas. First of all, I would like to ensure that the village has a thriving business district and thriving business environment. I believe personally that if you can achieve such an undertaking, you benefit the community as a whole, the residents, and the Downtown Business Authority. We don't necessarily seem to have had that in the past, and I think it's important to put an emphasis on doing exactly that. I currently serve on the Economic Development Committee, and we're taking strides in making changes in village politics and village procedures to ensure that we're able to do that.
Are there any specific types of businesses you'd like to bring into Oxford?
Well, I think right now we're still in the preliminary stages of determining what is best for the village, but frankly, I think we have some archaic ordinances which prohibit drive-throughs. Many individuals in the village see a need for a drive-through or two. Many individuals have an interest in convenient type shops. We don't have a coffee shop in Oxford, as you can understand. These are not significant projects, but sometimes some of the smaller undertakings are what the residents are looking for. We also have some very exciting projects on the table right now that we're looking into, and I hope in the next few months we'll be able to announce some of those.
Good. What accomplishment would make you happiest at the end of your term?
John, actually, that's too difficult to just narrow it down to one. There are several accomplishments. Number one, I'd like to ensure what I just spoke about, that our business district is thriving. Right now we have numerous vacancies in the village of Oxford that I'd like to see full. I'd like to see us at 100% capacity. That would be a significant achievement as far as I'm concerned. I think that requires that we aggressively go out and seek business owners, promote our community, and suggest to them why they would be best served here. But number two, one of the most glaring, I think, achievements that I'd like is a strong police department. The Village of Oxford has its own municipal police department, and currently I think we could use some greater funding for that police department. It's my belief that a safe community is a thriving community, and I will ensure that the police department has the appropriate funding that they need.
Okay, very good. Eric Dolan, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, John.
Welcome back to Schooling Around. Our next candidate guest is David Bailey, who is running for a 4-year term on the Oxford Village Council. And you're not a stranger to that position, are you, David?
No. I've been on the council previously, and also I've served on quite a few of our boards and commissions, just about every one of the main commissions except for the Planning Commission. And I've enjoyed that. And I've enjoyed being on council. For a while I was actually president of the council.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, I've been on most of these boards and commissions, not only the ones for the village, but also some of the ones such as Pollyant Trail, such as this body. I've been involved with the cable station as a member of the board of the cable, and so on. So basically, I know what I'm getting into.
My next question would be, why are you qualified for this position? I guess you've partially answered it already. Would there be anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, also, I have what you might call some wisdom. I mean, look at my color of my hair and stuff. I don't know if that makes you wise, but there it is. And that means that during my time on council, assuming I get elected again, people will know what to expect. Somebody my age doesn't change all that fast.
Okay, my next question for you would be, what concerns you most about what is happening in our township, in our village?
Well, what basically made me decide to run again for this position is the decision that council made to eliminate our local dispatch service and instead use the Sheriff's Department dispatch based down in Pontiac. I feel that that was a mistake, and it got my attention, so I decided to run for election again. Basically, anytime you make a change, there's possibility for things to go wrong, and the example of that, of course, is Flint. If Flint had not changed their water supply, then they wouldn't have had this problem they have now. I hope that we don't change our police. I hope we don't change our fire. I hope we don't change our EMS. It's probably too late for us not to change our dispatch. I think that if we tried to reverse that decision, it would not work. But that's what got me interested in being on council again.
Do you have any specific ideas to make things better in the village?
Well, as I said, keep our present public safety arrangements the way they are, and of course try to improve them. Another one is in probably 2019, our M24 corridor is going to be reworked. They're literally going to rip out everything, probably down to the old trolley tracks that are probably still buried down there. And this is a great opportunity to make M24 work. Right now it doesn't work. It's too noisy. There's a lot of diesel exhaust. People don't feel comfortable walking on the sidewalks.
It's a busy road.
It's a busy road. And there are things that can be done. This is a case where change is an opportunity rather than a danger, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. There are things that can be done. I'm not talking about building a bypass around Oxford. That, in my opinion, would be a bad idea. But there are things that can be done with our existing M24. And I've been at 4 hours worth of meetings in the past week, actually, about M24, but mostly the meeting was about M24. And there's things that can be done to basically defuse all of those gravel trains, which is a major problem in my opinion. They're noisy. Well, I've already said they're noisy and the diesel. If we had more traffic lights, right now we've got 2 downtown, not counting the traffic light in front of the fire station. if we had several, as is the case now in Rochester, and if they were computer timed and properly coordinated, then the gravel trains would just drift through town, and preferably at a speed of 25, not a speed limit of 30. Just going from 30 to 25 makes the gravel trains much, much less noisy. And with timed lights, then they just drift through. The driver doesn't even touch the accelerator much. And we've eliminated a lot of the noise and a lot of the vibration, and so on. One kind of outside the box thought that somebody came up with, which I'm tentatively approving myself, is to establish a through lane, which is our present left lane on M24, have signage saying to the truck drivers, all through trucks use the through lane. Then that would mean that the gravel trains are in the left lane, so that walking on the sidewalk isn't the scary experience that it now is. I think that things like that, may not be practical, but things like that would be a major improvement in M24. Normally, you'd want the heavy vehicles in the right lane because they build the right lane heavier so that it will stand that load without it deteriorating so fast. But they're going to rip up the whole road anyway. If we can talk MDOT into building the left lanes heavier than the right lane, then hey, we can do that.
We're running out of time. I have to go into our final question here. What accomplishment would make you happiest at the end of your term?
Well, my term's going to be ending, assuming I get elected again, in 2020. It's now 2016. Accomplishment that would make me happiest is to see M24 rebuilt and working well, and the residents of the village happy about it, the proprietors of the downtown businesses happier with it. That would make me feel like, yeah, maybe I made a difference.
Very good. David Bailey, thank you for being with us. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Welcome to American Legion in Oxford for the best fish on Fridays. That's right, from noon to 8:30. You can get the best walleye in Michigan. You can get walleye, baked cod, chicken strips, baked potatoes, and more. On the hall side of the Legion, oh, hello there, friends. You can have 12 friends on a table, any one of the best military museums in Michigan. And the dining side, oh, hello again. More comfortable with many 4-seat tables and a couple of 5-seaters. Now on Friday, we usually have about 400 to 500 of best friends for our fish. Carry out? You bet. We have 50 to 60 carryouts at the post. We have some young friends with the birthdays and some of our best seniors at the post. Oh yeah, waitresses, they go like a track waitress to get your food. If you have never enjoyed our secrets famous walleye at the Legion, come on in every Friday from noon to 8:30 at the American Legion Post 108 on 130 East Rainer Road, Oxford.
Today's interview is with Rose Bema. Thanks for being with us, Rose. We appreciate that. You are running for the Oxford Township Council, is that
Village
correct?
Council.
Oh, the Village Council.
Village
Okay,
Council.
very good. Well, I'm going to ask you the same questions I asked all the other candidates. The first one is, do you have experience in this type of position?
Well, 2 years ago I ran as the 2-year term for Village Council, and so I at least have 2 years underneath my belt. And also I worked for the village for 30 plus years.
Well, that kind of leads into my next question. Why are you qualified for this position? You probably know a lot of the nuts and bolts that go into all this, don't you?
There's a lot of in and outs that has been helpful in my position. And I was the village clerk. I did the finances for the village up until 2005.
It kind of helps you know how things work, though, doesn't it? I mean, you've seen a lot of issues come and go and how they're dealt with and
Yes,
on?
and being an employee is much different than being on council because you have more responsibility to the citizens.
Right. What concerns you most about what is happening in your village?
Our road situation, I'd like to see that improved.
Is there any particular road that concerns you? Is it M24 or?
It's mostly the village roads themselves. Oxford Lakes hasn't been really had any
Updating?
updating to the roads. There's still some other pieces in the old part of the village that need to be upgraded. And I think we've fallen behind on that with the tax levy not being there for it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story all over the state these days, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you have any specific ideas besides that to make things better in the village?
Well, I'd like to see our water system do something with our excess water. We have created 3 different committees at the village level, and one of them is the economics, trying to bring in developers to look at the land that we have open. A couple of them are on the ballots this year coming up, and once we get approved there, maybe we can get some, additional tax base in with that. Also, we have a water committee that's looking into selling our excess water to bring revenue in to try and keep our water rates lower. And then we have, oh gosh, it just slipped my mind.
No, that's okay. You forgive me, but I don't personally live in Oxford myself. Do you have a community water system here?
We have 4 wells. It's a
Okay.
well system. It's tested every month to make sure there's no arsenic or things flowing in there that might be harming our citizens.
So that'd be a good source of revenue if you could.
If we could,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. When you get to the end of your term, if you were to look back at your accomplishments, what main accomplishment would you like to see there? What would make you the happiest,
The lowering of our water rates.
really? Have they
No.
gone up a lot in the last few years?
They have increased, yes. Percentage-wise, I don't know off the top of my head, but I am a village resident, and I am concerned that the water rates are escalating, and I'd like to see them come down.
Well, we thank you for being with us. We appreciate the information and wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Our final candidate is Tom Kennis. Now, Tom is running as a write-in candidate for the Oxford Village Council. And Tom, maybe my first question that I ask all of our candidates is, do you have any experience in this type of position?
Yes, sir, I do. I've been on the Village Council for several years, also the Planning Commission. And on top of that, I was on the Oxford Lake Board as chairman, various positions, trying to keep our lake, in good shape.
Okay, so you've seen what's been going on for a while around here.
Yes, sir.
And I guess that kind of dovetails into the next question. Why are you qualified for this position?
Politically, I am not. However, I believe that because I have run so many businesses over the years successfully, what our village needs is a very strong attitude towards business, financial, making good, strong decisions, and not having them motivated by emotions.
Sure.
And our village has been run by emotions for many years. We have to be fiscally strong, and I think it's improved over the last couple of years.
Would you like to mention any of the businesses that you've had experience with?
I've been involved with many different businesses. I ran a company called Rochester Sales. I had 45 employees worldwide, and we did $750 million in sales for several different companies. We were sales engineers, manufacturers, reps. There's many others, but that's
Okay.
about as far as I want to go.
Okay, we get the idea. What concerns you most about what's happening in the village?
The political atmosphere. We really have to work on our infrastructure, and prior to this year and the last couple, we did not have the funds to even properly fund our DDA department. We were not getting along like we should with the township, and we've got our budget in place. We've cut costs. We're going to continue to cut costs, and that's my main reason for being here.
That's a problem in a lot of communities these days, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it is.
Do you have any specific ideas to make things better in the village?
Besides my list here of 4 pages, I really want to improve relationships with the township. We need to work together. Our village is small. We're landlocked. We don't have property to sell. We really can't grow. We have to work with the township, utilize both of our water systems better. And if we don't share on these resources, we're not going to be efficient together. You know, additionally, we have to fix our infrastructure. And that was one of the reasons why we had to make that very tough decision with police dispatch. It saved us a lot of money without taking a lot of risk,
Sure.
if you will. And there's a lot more that we could do. And we also have to bring our office structure and personnel team together as we get smaller. And we continue to get smaller every year that I'm there. And that's just not because of me. It's just because of what's required to manage a city and still keep a positive cash flow.
Right. At the end of your term, what accomplishment would make you the happiest that you could talk about?
I would like DDA to be fully funded, and I would like the village and the township to either be a team or somehow work together to share services. It would save it. You know, I'm going to use the example of Comerica Bank when they bought Michigan, I think it was Michigan National. They didn't lose any people, but they were so much more efficient, and not only did their stock go up, but they were more profitable because they were working together. We have to do that. The township and the village need to work together. We're both spending money on water. We're sharing our fire departments, which is fantastic. And I'm just hoping that when I'm done, that there's enough funds for infrastructure and, you know, additionally for our DDA to develop the downtown, because like Detroit and the suburbs, Oxford Village needs Oxford Township. Oxford Township needs Oxford Village. And if we can't figure it out, something's wrong, because we're all the same community.
Well, we wish you luck, and thank you for being with us, Tom. It was nice talking to you. We want to emphasize to you folks again that Tom is a write-in candidate for the Oxford Village and two-year term. It's important that you follow the instructions on the ballot and write his name in the proper place. And if you have any questions, you can ask the workers at your polling station for more details on how to do that. Thanks again for being with us, Tom.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
And even my wife's voting for me.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Remember, every vote counts. Be sure to exercise your right to vote on November 8th. And don't forget that very important school millage renewal vote as well. Thanks to our candidates, Kyle Snades at the controls, Dan Zweiss at the editing desk, and you for watching. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.